Hello everyone, I'm Toygun from TBWA Istanbul. I'm Chief Strategy Officer and I've been working on brand strategy for over 15 years now. I'm going to be talking about working at the speed of culture because I believe that this is what the agencies should be doing today and in the coming years. But I'm going to be starting with a book I read 15 years ago, back in 2000. Remember the days when we were connecting by dial-up and people were talking about broadband connection. Then there was a book called The Attention Economy, which was arguing that we cannot increase the bandwidth of people, although we can always increase the bandwidth of internet. So it's really hard to increase bandwidth of people's attention. It was very crucial for us. And people back in those days were seeing 500 messages a day, so you need to really differentiate to make them aware of your brand. But today, in the world of multitasking, it's even getting really hard to take people's attention and do something interesting for them. In the world of 24/7 internet and multitasking and always being connected through mobile phones, it's really hard to make something interesting. In everyday life, in advertising, we talk about doing interesting stuff, but it's not that easy. We should always be aware of what people are interested in. So as a sector, we're interested in what people are interested in, but at the moment, we don't really have the tools to keep track of what people are interested in all the time. But the good side of it is that we have some tools for it. The opportunity is that there's a lot of online data that is flowing in front of our eyes, and we can use that data, we can make meaning of that data, but we have to learn how to do it. So we have to turn that data into knowledge streams to make use of that. And for someone who's in front of their machines, Google is a search engine. They're looking for things that they're looking for. But for us, advertisers, if we collect all the data that people are searching for, it shows us what the society is interested in, what they're really looking for. So for us, it could be an online database, a constant live database of information. And Twitter could be an ongoing focus group for us because without we asking them, people are writing about what they think about chocolate category, their thoughts, their feelings, the brands they prefer, the things they don't like about that chocolate brand. Everything is already there. We just have to make correlations between these kind of informations and take meaning out of them. And we can connect them with everything we see. Today, we talked about the public chats of Vibers. So if you look at what food lovers are talking about in the world, you can maybe get something from that and tell it to your client McDonald's, and maybe they can come up with a new product from what people are interested in the food category. So you can look at the weather, in what kind of weather people are searching for, what kind of information, and there could be a promotion mechanism for your client again. You have all the, like you can, if you talk with your client, you will have the sales data, the footfall data from them, and if you try to see some parallel, some correlations between all these data, it could be very useful knowledge for you. So today, creativity is still important for us in TBWA, but we're also talking about knowledge being very essential to us. And that's why we have built a system for that. It's called Disruption Live. And let's look at the video for it, what it's about mainly. Can we have more of the sound? Yeah? Okay. Actually, this is about reversing the flow. We wait for the client to give us a go, give us a brief to work on, and then the agency works on that brief and creates something, some kind of execution for the consumer. But what we can do today is start with the consumer, track what people are interested in all the time, and get some triggers from that. And as an agency, we can make meaning out of them and tell it to our clients as marketing opportunities, or even we can work on proactive campaigns from that and present it to the client afterwards. So this proactive terminology was something like a nice thing to have in the past. Like if you were delivering what the client asks you, then it was okay, and then if you had a proactive idea once a year, then it was really nice. But in today's world, we have to always work proactively and come up with new campaigns for our clients. So yeah, let's look at the video.
No. Sometimes they're like car washes. Briefs come in at one end, and creative work comes out the other. It's like an efficient conveyor belt that is made to make the thing that you ask it to make. It's a linear process, and it's hard to change the thing you're doing or react to the world when you're operating in such a way. Once something's out the door, agencies breathe a sigh of relief and have a whiskey. And learnings of the previous campaign rarely go beyond an anecdote at the water cooler. So that's a typical agency. What does a creative company look like? A company embraces ideas, no matter where or who they come from. Data, culture, and current events are its lifeblood. And it has a circular, not a linear process. We call this Disruption Live.
Yeah, so this is the flow I was talking about, where the brief comes from the client and the agency is working on it. But we can reverse that and work more proactively. And for this, we have the Disruption Live system, and in our TBWA Istanbul office, we have something like a newsroom in the middle of the office, so that everyone can look at what people are interested in all the time. It's like a live update of what people are talking about, the top news headlines people are reading, the top videos people are watching, the search items they're looking for, and concepts in the blogs that are getting more popular. So we can keep track of that. But what we do here is a keyword-independent tracking. So you are used to social media audits, where the social media agencies are looking at positive mentions and negative mentions about the brand, but this is more than that. It's looking at what everyone is talking about. So if you catch something, you follow that and you look at patterns from that and try to come up with triggers that will initiate a campaign or a proactive idea. And for someone who's just sitting in front of the newsroom, it's easy to get and be aware of what's happening around. But for everyone to be aware of what's happening in the agency, we have automated alerts. We're using social messaging tools like Slack, where if you're in a meeting, you can see if the competitor has started a new campaign or if there's a topic that's very interesting in your society. They all come as automated alerts to you. And once a week, we have this open briefing sessions where we talk about what happened in the last week, and we think about which client could be making use of this thing that was very popular last week. So what's the use of it? I mean, what comes out as creative from this way of working? We have an example from TBWA Brussels, when there was a lot of cancellations of the flights in the airport. They came up with an idea.
Belgian air traffic ground to a halt on Wednesday.
Het hele luchtruim dicht door een stroompannen.
L'aéroport de Bruxelles fait face à une paralysie exceptionnelle depuis ce matin.
Hundreds of flights were cancelled.
Seule solution pour les passagers, prendre leur mal en patience.
109 flights got cancelled. 12,000 frustrated passengers were stranded. The perfect day for Brussels Airlines to go the extra mile. 1 hour after the blackout, we launched the Blackout Bus via Twitter. A bus to treat our stranded passengers to a sightseeing tour through Brussels.
When I'm feeling so low, I don't know what to do.
Wasted time became fun time. The bus generated a lot of smiles and quite some buzz. And thanks to the Blackout Bus, People even visited 2 cities for the price of one, their destination, and Brussels. Brussels Airlines, we go the extra smile.
So here you can see that there was a very quick reaction to what has happened. So we have to learn how to work quickly with the clients. In the daily life, we have approval times of days or weeks, but in these situations, you have to really react quickly. So you have to make your client aware that you can do things, you can work this way. Sometimes there are reactions you have to take, and sometimes you can anticipate things in advance. If you think about it, in very crowded times, let's say in Christmas time, there could be a lot of cancellations and people get upset at the airport. So you can even think about what could be done in these cases. If you look at reaction, there are some things that the whole world has talked about. It's even this black and blue dress or the Kim Kardashian. And all brands are trying to be included in this conversation somehow, but with social media posts and some kind of campaigns. And sometimes they don't feel really right. It's just for the sake of being in the conversation. And sometimes there are really failed attempts, like in this case where this Kenneth Cole American fashion brand in the Arab Spring, they used this political trigger to say that millions are uproar in Cairo. Rumor is they heard our new spring collection is now available. So this was a big failure for the company, and they had to delete it in times of minutes. But these triggers could be coming from anywhere. You just have to know which one to act on. It could be something about your brand or your competitor or your category or something about technology or even political triggers could be some things that we can act on. But you have to know what to do about them. So I was talking with our friends in Luna TBWA Belgrade, and they said that this week people were talking about the winner statue leaning one way or the other. They were interested in this. So I think that could be a good trigger for any brand, because there's already some humor in it that it's leaning some other way. And even the Gardena brand that Mike Brandt made us work on today, if you want to have nice gardens, maybe you can produce small statues and sell them for people's gardens, and they can decide which way to lean that on. Any brand could use it, but beforehand you need to know what your brand strategy is. So in order to act on triggers, you need to have your brand pillars. So that's what we do. We work with IKEA, for instance, so we know what are the categories that IKEA could act on in advance. Like working with Nissan, we know that they're interested in excitement and innovation. So the concepts that are relating to those could be the things that we will be acting on. So when there's a trigger and it fits your brand pillar, then it's the time to go and do something about it. So that's what we did in Istanbul. This was triggered by something political, but because we were working with an online newspaper, it made sense to work on this trigger, and this was the campaign we came up with.
The authoritarian policies of the Turkish government became more dominant, especially on the internet. The government was about to pass a new internet law that allows authorities to erase internet content within 4 hours, without even a court order. Because since the protests started, the government had been pressuring the mainstream media, the internet became the most reputable source of true news and the last resort for freedom of speech. Such a law meant that even the internet would be under an oppressive censorship mechanism. Radikal, the first online-only newspaper of Turkey, wanted to distance itself from the convention that online newspapers only care about driving visitor traffic. They had the vision to become an online-only newspaper which retained its journalistic values. So their disruptive strategy was not only to stand out, but also to stand for something in the online news category. Therefore, this proposed law was critical to Radikal, and it became our trigger. We wanted to raise awareness about it, yet we only had a few days to create a strong impact nationwide. So we decided to make readers experience the censored internet, the fading news. We used Radical's own web content as the medium for the demonstration. For 2 days, the agency team worked closely with Radical's own development team to execute the campaign. On February 18th, many news items on the Radical website started to fade out within 4 hours. At the end of the 4th hour, readers found the following message. This piece of news has been erased over the course of 4 hours. Readers saw how the internet would look like if the law passed. We erased hundreds of news items during the campaign, and Radical newspaper's website turned into a page of censorship. The campaign became a trending topic in Twitter within just an hour. People started to erase their tweets, videos, status updates, and turn the fading news campaign into a social movement. Journalists, celebrities, politicians, and bloggers all over the world supported the campaign. With no media budget, we reached over 32 million people and had over 104 million impressions. Our own media value was more than $1 million. And the real result, the government heard the voice of the people and revised the law. Now, at least it's necessary to have a court order to erase content on the internet.
And one other thing is anticipation. So again, when I talk with people from Luna TBWA, they said that the most exciting thing nowadays is the book fair in Belgrade, and people are talking about it, having a lot of conversation about it, around it. And we know that next year is going to come again, and people will be interested in that, and it's going to be maybe a relief for people who were watching the reality shows for the whole year. It's going to be a time for intellectual thinking again. So you can think about the campaign from now, what you're going to do next year about this. When we look at the trending topics in 2014, we see that most of them, like 75% of them, are things that we can predict beforehand. So if you just get into the mood of thinking about what's going to come in the coming months, then you can start thinking about campaigns, proactive things for your clients. Like you can have a calendar of planned events, like on November 10th, Fallout 4 is going to be released, and it's very important for the gamers around the world. So if there's any of your clients interested in that specific target group, they can do something about it. In December 18th, Star Wars movie is coming out, and people started talking about it like in the beginning of the year, so there could be something about it. And on January 14th, Oscar nominations will be listed, and yes, it's a big thing for the American film industry and for the overall global film industry, but also for the local markets. Like in the foreign film category, we have this candidate called Sivas, and it's a good candidate. And if it gets nominated, it's going to be the first time that Turkey is going to be nominated for Oscars. So it can create a value of nationalistic pride. So any of the brands that may want to work on that could do something around it. I heard that it's the same for Serbia, that with Enklava, if it gets a nomination, it could be a nationalistic pride time for you. One example is from flu epidemics in the winter times. We know that each year at the winter time there's some kind of flu epidemic. So TBWA Brussels made a campaign for their telecommunications brand Telenet on that.
Gesundheit. The disease.
January 2014, a large part of the country is under attack from a flu epidemic. A lot of people lay sick on their couch. Cable TV provider Telenet decides to help out all their digital TV clients.
The cure.
Because laughter is good for your soul, we spread a comical antivirus throughout the cable by launching a special laughter channel where we broadcast non-stop and for free the best shows from the top Flemish stand-up comedians. Everybody was invited to visit our medicine men via direct email, online bannering and joyful radio commercials.
Omdat velen van ons nog altijd thuis zitten met de griep.
Schat, kun jij nog wat water opzetten voor thee?
Zijn Telenet tot en met vrijdag Vlaamse comedy uit op kanaal 444. Gratis en voor niets.
Schat, kun jij de tv opzetten voor nog een comedy show?
The healthy results.
In less than a week's time, more than 216,000 families watch the Curing Laughter channel. That's 15% of all our digital TV clients. Or how a quick reaction from Telenet resulted in the funniest epidemic of the year.
God bless you.
So, in the end, I'm going to say that we're all in the business because we want to feel smart and we feel that we are culturally connected. So, if we think that way, we should learn to work at the speed of culture and show that we can do it. And if not, being the lead agency, since you know the objectives and the target group and the brand itself, you could come up with these ideas on yourself. And if we don't do this, actually, the project-based agencies, like the one we listened in the morning, like the pop-up agency, can come and steal your business. So we should learn to work faster at the speed of culture. Thank you.